This year we celebrated our diamond year, the 75th anniversary celebration as a local congregation. We've been here since 1946. We started in the basement of the building. We started in the basement with a handful of members and a potbelly stove, and that's what we used for heat. Now, the building, the basement part of the building where the church started, dates back to the early 1800s, and it dates back to the early 1800s. And then in 1946, our church was organized in the basement, which we call the little church. And then the church grew and grew and kept growing and growing. And my predecessor, which was also my pastor, the Lord showed him an upstairs, and we built the upstairs, which is the current sanctuary, and we built it and marched in September of 1954. So many people have come through here. President John F. Kennedy, when he campaigned, this was one of his stops. Martin Luther King Jr., when the civil rights was real heavy. At that time, he's been here. Aretha Franklin has sung here. Her father's preached here. Been the pastor here. In October of this year, I celebrated 18 years as the senior pastor. I served as the interim pastor twice, and served as interim pastor twice. Born and raised here. Went off, did my undergrad, and my pastor hand selected me to come back here to be the second pastor in 75 years. As a boy, I sat here. I sat right on that side, right up under the air conditioner every Sunday. That was my spot, right there. It was my two sisters and myself. And I watched that pulpit every Sunday, and I watched my pastor preach, and I will go home and imitate everything I saw him do. So that's and then I felt the call all my life. All my life, there's been a call on my life, and being so young, I was not able to process exactly what was going on. And so it was at the tender age of 13, I started being more vocal about the seriousness of something going on with me, not really knowing what it was, because being so young, not being able to process it all. I went to my pastor, and at the age of 15 years old, he gave me a chance to preach my first sermon. And I preached my first sermon January 29th, 1995. And I preached it right there. The church looks so much different than what it did then. But right there, I preached my first sermon from the floor, from a little podium. And the title of the sermon was "The Events, Situations, and Circumstances of Life," from the book of Job, chapter 1, verses 15 through 20, I believe. And that was my first sermon. And he licensed me to be a minister of the gospel February the 19th, 1995. And he ordained me in August of 2000.